Todd Shapiro Show.
He knows what he's doing when it comes to the radio world. He only fucking does it pretty much every day. On SiriusXM, too. For the second time on the show, and first in about 6 months. He probably doesn't remember the first one. Jim Norton, how you doing, Jim?
I'm very well. How are you?
I'm well, man. I'm pleased that you are joining us. I know you have the big JFL 42 shows in town on Saturday night. I don't know. Do you recall now seeing me? I don't know if you know who I am for shit, but in Montreal for the just the regular JFL.
Yeah. What did we talk about? If you tell me specifically what we talk about, I might know.
I just took a picture of you with my buddy Jay, who wanted a picture of you. You were hanging out with Ari Shaffir and Bennington. And Shaffir pulled a dick move on me because he pretended he didn't even know me, and I literally sat with the guy. I do remember. Yeah, and I sat with the guy
outside the hotel.
Right outside the hotel. Yeah, I think you're having a dart there. And anyway, Shaffir. Yeah, are you friends with this guy Shaffir?
I do like Ari, yes.
So Ari and I in L.A., Jim, we sat for an hour, actually 2 hours. The guy sat on my show for 2 hours. We were in Adam Carolla's studio. It was a really cool experience for me. Anytime I get to kind of interview any of you guys who are huge across the world, not necessarily just in Canada, it's a big deal for me. I'm always comfortable enough in saying I'm a kind of a super fan and a good guy that way. Ari, after spending 2 hours with me, only a few months later sees me there, pretended he didn't even know me. Do people ever do that to you?
Everyone has done that to me. No, I don't know. Was he pretending he didn't know you, or did he just not recognize you?
Oh, I'm very recognizable. I mean, I wear a douchebag hat. I got he sat with me for 2 hours. It's hard to, come on. Have you spent 2 hours with a guy?
Yeah, I've had that before, though, where you just don't recognize the person. But did you ask him about it? Because Ari's a pretty down-to-earth dude. It's not his nature to do that. So did you ask him, hey, dumbbell, what happened? He might have been like, oh, sorry, dude.
I think I texted him with just the question mark. You know that move where you just go when a girl doesn't get back to you, just go question mark?
Yeah, I get that. Every time I say hello to a woman on text, I get the question mark. I mean, either who are you? What do you want? How'd you get this?
Leave me alone.
Go away.
We have Frank Spadone, a comedian, hanging out with us today. Frank?
How you doing, Jim?
Hey, buddy, how are you?
I'm good, man. You're awesome. I'm a big fan.
Thank you.
So now, Jim, how's it going? How's the early mornings going? You still loving it?
I hate the hours, but I like the gig. That's the problem. Getting up stinks. Afternoons would interfere with too many other things I do. So I do really enjoy working on radio, but man, waking up sucks.
We sort of talked about that the last time you were on the show. I don't understand. Do you think you can continue this pace of traveling early mornings? Obviously working on SiriusXM with Opie, and then a lot of stand up at night. You ever just think to yourself, "Fuck it, I just got to focus on one"?
No, because I figure if I do a bunch of things to a mediocre success, I can continue doing them as long as people will allow me to. The bottom line is none of the things are really going particularly well. That's the best part of it.
I beg to differ, man. You're doing awesome for me. I do stand up in Canada. Talk about mediocrity like this. I'm trying to do it. I'm friggin' helping my wife run her dance school to make ends meet, for shit's sake. So you're doing great, man.
Well, thank you very much, man. I do appreciate it.
Jim, you do a little advice show now where you tweet out your number and stuff. What are some of the questions people call in and ask Jim Norton for advice? What are some of the weird questions you get?
It's so funny. I got calls today they ask about threesomes, they ask about sex addiction, they ask what to do. One guy said this girl's too kinky and he was a little intimidated. What does he do? It's stuff that I can kind of relate to. Stuff that I've talked about, and I think being open about myself makes them feel comfortable, telling me things about themselves.
So what are some of those vices that you're very candid about, say, for a listener of this program that, I'm sure they know but might not know about you?
Well, my porn vice I've talked about, or the girls, or the trans girls, or, I don't even know if that's a vice or just what I like. People are always weird, shocked that I talk about that openly because we're all so ashamed of who we are. I don't drink. I don't get high. I eat like a pig. So food is a rough one too. Food and sex are the two toughest.
You're a pretty little dude, though. Like, you would never look at you and think to yourself, wow, Jim eats too much. Is that a lot of, like, nervous energy going on there?
No, I'm really, really careful about what I eat. You know what I mean? I am. I'm very, very careful about what I shove in my face, at least food-wise.
Does it fuck you up how many hot ladies there are in porn these days? Like, isn't it fucking crazy that they're like literally every new girl on Pornhub is a supermodel?
Yeah, I mean, it really does become overwhelming. We were on the radio this morning watching Randy West scene with Jenna Jameson that kind of broke her into porn. And it's one of those things where, back then she stood out so much, but now she wouldn't. There's so many, and they all look kind of the same. Like, they're super hot, but, they all look kind of plastic with fake breasts. The days of Kay Parker, for anybody who remembers the old school porn, are long over. Just really hot, natural-looking women. So I kind of miss those days,
I do love the natural ladies. You can still find some. I always type in pale redheaded vixen, and you sort of get a very natural look.
Yeah.
But
Blur pops up.
So, yeah, he's I finish in 2 minutes when he goes. He's making me laugh, and I'm blowing a load. It's fucked up. But it's funny you mentioned the Jenna Jameson thing because I have terrible retention too. I drink way too much. But when you mentioned her, I do remember being at a video store and like you'd go behind those curtains and you'd always be a little bit kind of you hope you didn't recognize your neighbor in there, Bernie or someone, buying like the next Rocky film. And then I remember seeing this up and comers with Jenna Jameson thinking she was beautiful just from the cover and actually renting that, taking home and then never returning it. And I'm still like at a collection agency to pay for that. But she totally stood out.
Worth it. Well worth it. The money you spend on the movie, you probably would have saved yourself repainting the ceiling. So you probably break even after that.
Have you met Jenna Jameson before?
I co-hosted the Porn Awards with her, yeah. She was my co-host in 2003, January 2004. And I've interviewed her and seen her a lot since then. And, Jenna's a really nice girl.
Oh, that's good. And have you sort of developed a lot of friendships with ladies in the industry or just the industry itself?
Yeah, Belladonna was a good friend of mine. I used to see her and her husband every time I'd go out to L.A. She's out of the business for a while now. And I got to know quite a few of them over the years. And they were all really, really cool people. Ron Jeremy's a buddy of mine, Joey Silvera. I don't know a lot of the newer ones. I know more of the new trans porn ones, but I don't know a lot of any more of the traditional new ones. How
is the trans porn scene? Is it sort of just like mainstream porn now? I act like I don't know, Jim.
Yeah, you got to pretend you don't know who Michelle Firestone is. I understand. It's just, look, it's the same as regular porn. I mean, they have the same complaints as regular porn girls do about the money and about this and that. And, it's they're trying to go with condoms in L.A., which is going to really ruin it. Nobody wants to see condoms.
No, who wants to see
comfortable watching it? Never mind, doing it with a condom.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't want to see condoms in my real life, much less porn.
Have you ever been with a trans porn girl?
I have, yeah.
I want to look her up now. Do you mind saying who?
I'm trying to think if I can say who.
Oh, okay.
Let me say, hold on. Vanity, I have. Many years ago. She doesn't do porn anymore, I don't think. The original Vanity. Mia Isabella, but that was years ago. And a girl named Eva Lynn, who did she was in one of my opening porn shoots. I think I've talked about all of them publicly. There might be one or two that I haven't, so I can't say their names because I haven't spoken about it publicly.
Yeah, and why would you give dirt on my show when you have your own much more popular show?
That's funny. Nobody cares. I don't care. Nobody else cares. It's my life, and if they don't like it, too bad.
Yeah, I know.
Let them not like it.
Well, it's a great word that I learned from actually from Thomas Dale. You know Thomas Dale, the comedian, right?
He's a New York guy. Yeah, I like him.
Great dude. It's sort of this new word, which is fluidity, which I find like a great word, which is sort of just, in this new day and age, and, especially within millennials, it's just kind of like it's what they feel at the moment of the day. And what, it's a great way to be without restrictions, without inhibitions, and without some fucking old white dude telling you what should be right or should be wrong.
Yeah, or old black dude. I mean, it's amazing how many people are prejudiced against that open lifestyles or whatever. It's usually the religion. And that goes across, all, look at, it's not like, Muslims are open about it either. That's one of those things that, like, white dudes are probably the most open as far as those groups are concerned. But I know what you're saying.
Yeah, because I mean, Muslim trans porn with everything just covered, but the penis might be interesting. That might is that where that's?
Yeah, I guess you got to watch out for that. That's a great point.
That's what we'll eventually get to. So the stand-up's going very well. I know that Toronto is very excited to have you come here. JFL 42 in town, of course. You're doing 2 shows at the Queen Elizabeth Theatre on September 24th. Do you love coming up here to Canada?
I do. I love Toronto. I mean, Montreal is great, but Toronto reminds me more of New York. It reminds me more of being home. It reminds me more of where I live. So I love both, but I would say that this is more my home. It reminds me more of home with Toronto, definitely.
Excellent. And the whole, like, this is one of the things we're talking about with Frank and stuff. The comedy scene's interesting because, people are, while they're protective of each other's jokes and stuff, which I understand why they should be, it's the nice these big festivals where you promote so many different comedians on the bills. It's really a great thing to have the community come together that way. Are you proud to be with such huge names with this?
I don't know who else is on it. Who else you talking about?
No, but see, that's a great ad because he's just here to do his thing, and when you get to that point, like me, sometimes I go to Just for Laughs. I'm like, oh my god, this guy's here, that girl's here, and I get all in my own head. See, look, he's such a veteran.
Who else is on there?
Yeah, who else?
Roseanne
is on
Barr,
the show?
Chris D'Elia, Gaffigan,
Jim Jeffries.
Yeah, Jim Jeffries. Like it's massive.
Oh, all right. Well, I know all of them. So
yeah, for him, it's just like another weekend in New York, probably.
But yeah, obviously, I don't see Roseanne. I see the least. Chris D'Elia is a buddy. I know Chris well. Obviously Jeffries. I know for years. I know Jim Jeffries. I've done a lot of radio with him, and and Jim Gaffigan. I know for probably 20 years. So I love those guys. And Jim's show. It's too bad that's done. That was a funny show, man. Jim is a funny motherfucker.
What's going on with you and TV? You doing some TV stuff? You have stuff on Netflix now?
I am. I had specials on Netflix, but they wound up coming off, but only because they were Viacom and they made a deal with Hulu. But hopefully there'll be some other stuff with Netflix in the future. That would be really nice.
And do you do, like, when you film that stuff, do you sort of front the bill on that? Do you do your own production and then kind of get distribution deals after?
You can do it that way, but I don't. I try to get the money, from them if possible, so you're not automatically starting with a loss.
Oh, it's us Canadians that got to do that shit, Todd. We gotta pay for our own shit. We gotta pay for everything.
We take out a big mortgage, or we get a line of credit on our apartment. Anything we can do. So when you get in town? When you get in town, are you gonna party it up here in Toronto a bit, or just do your show and get in and out, bro?
It's funny. I'm coming in on Friday, and I do 2 shows Saturday. So I'll be there for a day and a half, which is nice. But I'm not working Friday.
All right, you want to hang out? You want to come by the show live? You want to, or it's just like you
what
just?
Time you guys? Oh, you guys. You know what? I might be able to do that on Friday.
Yeah.
If I fly in the morning, I can do that.
We'll be live at the Pantages, probably where you. I don't know if we're allowed to say where everyone's staying, but that's where you guys are staying, I think. So yeah, we'd love to. I'll bring a couple of my transsexual friends over. That'll be great.
Isn't the
cool?
brass
I'll bring a couple of mine.
Yeah.
How about this? Have someone get in touch with my publicist and tell me where it will be. I think I can do that.
Oh, that'd be wicked. We would totally appreciate that. Are you following the hockey going on at all? The World Cup of hockey?
No, man. I don't watch hockey at all.
Not at all, eh? I thought you might be into that a little bit.
Nah, I'm almost exclusively UFC as far as any sports are concerned.
Yeah. No, I know you're a big UFC guy. But like, because I was going to say we can get you to a hockey game. Would you go to a hockey game Friday night?
No, probably not. Cause I'm going to try to get laid Friday night.
It must be so easy for you to get laid, man. How do you go about doing that? Like, would you ever do something publicly? Are you on the Tinders? Are you on how do you?
Yeah, I love Tinder.
Wow, you're so is that weird? Because you're a pretty popular guy. Is that interesting for you, Jim? Where people are like, oh man, fuck, it's normal.
No, it helps get a lot of questions out of the way. Let them Google me. Let them know what a creep I am, and if they're interested, they'll pursue it. That's what really I need.
Were you always so open? It's one. We have a pre-recorded interview with Roseanne. We're going to play just after you, actually. And one of the things I kind of gave kudos to her for was not being fearful ever, like really never having to bite her tongue and just going out it. And what she sort of said to me was, I never really cared about the money. I wanted to be known, but I didn't care about the money, so I wasn't afraid of that. Did you ever have kind of a filter, or you just always did your own thing?
Well, we all have some filter, but a lot of us have a filter that's in a different place. Everyone has certain things they don't talk about or don't say, but we all get a little afraid sometimes, but the key is doing what you want to do in spite of being nervous about the consequences. Do you know what I mean?
He's so right. Because I find myself editing way too many times, and I see guys like Jim go up there. I'm like, man, I wish my balls were.
I wish I had the money though, because unlike Roseanne, I care about paying the mortgage and shit. And I have sponsors and stuff.
Of course.
So I'm thinking of creating like some sort of alias Twitter handle just to say whatever what's actually on my mind. Are you Jim Norton on the program with us? Are you fearful what's going on in the States right now? It's a pretty scary time, and at least that's sort of the way the media paints that picture.
Politically, do you mean?
Politically, the shootings, who's going to be your next leader at the helm there? I mean, it seems like they're both kind of fucked up.
No, I'm not scared. As of right now, I'm going to vote for Trump because I like him because he really is annoying to other politicians. But I don't hate either one of them. Whoever wins, wins. I mean, it's either going to be our first female president or Trump. So, I mean, it's a fun time to be alive. Do you know what I mean? It's a really interesting time to be alive. So, no, I think it's great, dude. I have no fear of it.
Good for you. And it's a great time, too, I guess, for, especially being in entertainment, right? Especially doing what you guys do with Opie like that to be able to have Trump as sort of a go-to with sound clips and bites and talking about what he's doing. Have you had the opportunity to interview him on your show?
Yeah, I've met Trump. We've interviewed him on the phone. I know his son pretty well. His son used to live right above me. So, I actually like them. They're not perfect. But, again, in politics, what family is perfect? What guy is perfect? They all have dirty friends and a shitty history on some level. Obama has one of the cleaner histories. But, again, he was newer to politics. No one who's as old as Trump, who's almost 70. Don't forget Obama's in his 40s. He's 20 years younger than Trump and was a relative newcomer in politics. Let him have 20 years of politics the way Hillary does. She has a lot of dirt under her fucking fingernails. All of them do. So I don't really judge them by that. They're all kind of shitty on some level.
Yeah. Well, and it's sort of the devil you know as opposed to the devil you don't know, which is one thing about Trump where, as outlandish as he is, you'd like to think that there's some, because of he forces the hand a bit, that there's going to be some compromise there as opposed to just other people sort of making the rules. What's his son like, or which boy is it? Is it Donald Jr. or the other dude with the slick hair?
Donald Jr. I'm friends with. I never met Eric. But the thing is, he's a nice guy. I mean, they're very confident guys, a bit verbose, likes to talk. But he's a genuine guy. I was looking at places in New York, and I asked him for advice on something, and he goes, well, I could send one of our guys over to look at the place and tell you. So he sent the head of all Trump engineering over to look and gave me a real opinion. So, it was kind of nice. He was a man of his word. So I liked him a lot just for that.
I like direct people. I find that the older I become, I'm a 43-year-old dude, and sort of the show here that I do on SiriusXM, it's a little bit of my own business as well, where I work with the sponsors and stuff. And you kind of got to be direct with people. And the successful people I meet in business are very direct, are very curt, are a bit abrasive. But, it's okay to deal with big egos. And I find that they like confidence in people, not guys who are self-deprecating, not guys who are a little meek and stuff. They really like strength. And I wonder if, is nuts as maybe Trump is being the president of your country, how much of the world is just actually jealous that they can't be like that as opposed to what he's actually saying?
Well, I think a lot of the world believes all the things said about him. Like the Hitler comparison is just idiotic. Like, yeah, he said a lot of dumb shit, and there's been a few opinions that were bigoted or absolutely should have been restated. But it's like, really, Hitler, a guy who wanted to exterminate a race, Trump just has a bit of Asperger's. Get a hold of yourself, people. The whole world is panicking. Come on, it's fine. I mean, come on. Of all people, Toronto has to understand how you can elect somebody a little nuts.
Oh yeah, with our old mayor. I mean, there you go.
I loved him.
Yeah, he was great.
I loved him.
And I think we all did too, because at least, he is as nuts as he was. I mean, it showed that the common man could kind of have hope.
Yeah, absolutely.
It gave a lot of us hope. B, it also showed that no matter how bad your problems were that day, there were worse ones, and he's still the mayor.
Yeah, but he made people accountable. The
Exactly.
thing about Rob Ford, man, he stood up to people, and he stood up to unions, and he made people accountable, man. And I think it's true. Trump reminds me of that guy. He says it the way it is, and sometimes a little offside, but you know what? I love it. I love it. It's about time.
He's saying what he wants to say. We can't say that we want honesty and then cry when someone is unpleasantly honest.
Wow.
You know what I mean? It's like honesty is not always sweet. Sometimes it stinks. Everybody wants an honest conversation until it gets uncomfortable. Then they want to yell bigot, racist, homophobe, Islamophobe, sexist. And it's like honest conversations are sometimes uncomfortable. So people should shut the fuck up and just enjoy the honest conversation.
So
you don't
true.
like Trump, tell him to go fuck himself. That's fine.
I had this conversation with a friend of mine. I find so much of the world, Jim, they can't, literally, to steal that fucking cheesy phrase from Jack Nicholson, but, they can't handle the truth. And the same people who can't handle the truth are, sadly, though, what I've realized, are the same people who can't talk about the truth. And whereas the others, guys like you and I, Frank here, look, we've been in media forever, comedy, whatever, dude. Everyone's so direct, so honest, so upfront, chirping, roasting, whatever it may be, that, that's cool, because we can deal with the shit you give us, and we'll let it slide right off our back, because we're the same way. We don't expect everything to be all peaches and roses and perfect and chocolate and all this shit. It's got to be real. And more of the world needs to be like that. How do we get that message to the world to accept that the truth is okay? What advice would you give?
Well, the key is to remember is that there isn't always there's a couple of ways of looking at the truth. So, like, people who can't – the thing is, we have to realize that what I think is the truth is not necessarily what someone else sees as the truth. And the problem is everyone thinks that their view is the absolute truth. So if we just realize is that everyone has different views of what the truth is, that's when we start to fucking move in the right direction. But everybody, like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know if people can handle the truth. I think it's more like you can't handle when I don't agree with your truth. I think that's the difference. Do you know what I mean? Because, like, you talk to someone who's black, and they have a really different truth than a white cop. And, they both have tremendously different ways of looking at it. Now, I know a lot of black guys. I know a lot of white cops. They all tell me the same shit. Black guys say the cops treat us bad. Fucking cops all tell me, look, man, the hardest guys to deal with are the black guys. So they're not all gathering up and lying to me. So they both have different versions of the truth. So they have to kind of figure out a way to live together, knowing that they both see it differently.
Wow.
It's very profound. If that wasn't more than 140 characters, I was going to pawn that off of my own and tweet it.
No, I apologize. That was really long-winded of me.
That was awesome. He's so right. We all have our own opinions of what the truth is, and if we can all accept our own opinions, that's when we are going to move forward. I'm telling you, I'm speechless.
We're in light year. There's a halo over Frank Spadone right now.
I'm glowing right now. It's awesome.
We got chills. Yeah. Well, and it's not even agreeing to disagree. It's kind of finding that compromise and acceptance. It's all acceptance. It's really,
for sure.
It's really shame. And just to sort of reiterate what you were mentioning about how people compare Trump to Hitler, Jim, I totally agree that those comparisons are right. No, it actually trivializes the Holocaust. Like, in order to say that you're comparing a guy who wiped out millions and millions of Jews and Russians and just fucking whatever he didn't like, that's kind of a disgusting thing for people to go and do, I think.
Yeah, because again, Hitler worked so hard to get his reputation. There's no reason to lump other people in. He worked for years to get that one. All Trump did was say some unpleasant shit. Yeah. So it's an easy comparison. How's your boss? My boss is worse than Hitler.
Yeah, there
becomes
you go.
the thing that we say. So it doesn't really mean much anymore. But to me, it's not thinking it through. Like, if you think Trump is a cunt and that's fine, okay, cool, say it. Bash him. He can handle it. But understand why you're saying it. That's all.
I heard they have great rates at the Hitler Hotel, though.
Oh, God.
They really do. They pile a whole lot of people into one room, unfortunately.
Hey, Jim, we're so excited to have you in Toronto again. The shows are September 24th. There's a 9 o'clock showing and 11 o'clock showing at the QET. That's the Queen Elizabeth Theatre for JFL 42. Just go to jfl42.com for all your information. And hopefully we'll reach out to your publicist or somehow follow me on Twitter. That's what I try and tell all the big guests. And then we can DM one another and maybe just hang out live in the studio. I think I went completely off script. Your PR team gave me some questions. I ignored them completely. I just wanted a real conversation with you, and thank you for your time.
Thanks very much. I appreciate it.
All right, Jim, we'll see you on Friday. Follow me on Twitter.
All right, take care, buddy.
He's like, who are you?
He's great.
The Todd Shapiro Show. Turn up your speakers, especially if you're over 65. SiriusXM 168, Canada Laughs.